Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Words of Heart. In today's episode, we have the privilege of speaking with Victoria Maldonado.
Maldonado.
You have such an interesting last name. I'm real sorry if I mispronounced it.
All right.
Thank you for joining me today, Victoria.
Yeah, no, it's good to be here.
Awesome. So, Victoria, if you could divulge with my listeners a bit about yourself, that would be great. Give us the inside scoop into Victoria.
Yeah. No, my name is Victoria Maldonado. I'm an author. I do women's fiction and children's books, and I'm also an editor. And I'm starting up a new publishing company, so that's kind of fun. And yeah, but I've been an editor on most of my life. I was a teacher. I taught English as a second language and also English and also French. So I've kind of got a little diversity. But I've been editing for magazines and other publications all my life. And so yeah, words are my thing.
So. Awesome. So how did you get into that? Because I'm a real lover of words. I consider I go through this little mantra, or I guess because of the whole pandemic season, to be a warrior for change through the power of my words. So right. I'm a real lover of words and the expressive depths behind it. Plus, I'm a poet too, so there's that appeal as well.
That's awesome.
How did you get into writing or being so vastly immersed into it as you are?
Yeah, no, I just always loved words and the written word and everything that goes along with it. It's just been a calling. Like honestly, I hear things in my head and it just needs to become a piece of art, a piece of literature, something. So it's kind of like breathing for me. I really have no other marketable skills than words. So it's what I enjoy. It's my passion. I like to bring stories to the forefront, and I mean stories for kids, stories for adults, poetry, whatever it is. I just think that as humans, that is one of the main things that separates us from the animal kingdom, is our ability to use language in such a creative way. And it's really fun for me to, number one, craft things with that language, but also appreciate and bring forth other writers who have that passion for words, because every one of us is completely different. And it's our experience that is important to share with the world. That's authentic. That's being authentic, and having authenticity is just using your experiences and your words to bring that story to other people.
I truly admire that, and that's like really the fundamental vision of this entire podcast, is to share your story, your perspective, your experiences, because they deserve to be heard and shared, therefore helping others as well. So considering you're so immersed in words and the whole writing culture dynamic, I know there's many different areas of writing, obviously biography, nonfiction, fiction. What particular writing style would you say pertains to you?
I mean, I definitely write fiction. I do have hopes of writing kind of, not really a memoir, but more of a journal, a journey of my coming to faith story. I really do hope to write that someday. So I do hope to delve into nonfiction at some point. But yeah, fiction is what I do. I like to just weave stories and characters and drama and really make those like sing. But then also with children's books, I like to do rhyming cadence. I like it to sound as good as the story is. So I have a good message in them, but I also make it rhyme. But yeah, no, I mostly stick to fiction. I'm not much for the nonfiction, because we all live life. Who needs to read about that?
Right. So where would you say you're writing? I love the fact that you're a writer. I truly admire that, because that's sort of like a little dream that I hope comes to fruition, is to have my own book of poetry. But considering our conversation and the depths of our experiences, my sister's really planted this tidbit of knowledge, if you will, in my head, because there's many facets to my story. Apart from podcasting and doing this, I had many health deficiencies growing up, being diabetic during the pandemic. That's a chapter in itself because I don't think anyone can understand the depths of the reality of having to be diagnosed with anything during a potential virus that could kill you. That was absolutely terrifying, but I saw the silver lining to it, because if I hadn't been diagnosed when I did, I don't know how much about diabetes you know, but I was on the brink of death pretty much before I got diagnosed. So
yeah, I've known several people with that, both type 1 and type 2. And yeah, I've been with people. Sorry, my kids are having door slamming upstairs.
no worries.
Yeah, I've been very close to 2 different people who were virtually on the brink of death with the type 1 diabetes specifically. So yeah, it is harrowing. It's a life change. It's something that never really goes away, but yeah, you can learn to manage it. But yeah, that is a harrowing thing to go through. Sorry.
No worries, you're completely fine. But yeah, my sister thinks you should just write a story about your life pretty much. And that's definitely has resonated a lot more. I think the doing this podcast is a huge part of that. Sharing my experience, vulnerability in such a broad platform to help others, that I should really just put that into a book format, and the immense potential that has is probably going to be astounding, I feel. But
Yeah.
speaking of writing as a whole, when did you specifically get started into your writing journey?
Well, I mean, I've always been writing since I was 9. I mean, I really wrote my first book when I was 9, and actually, I have it. It's a little unicorn thing, but yeah, no, professionally, I mean, I always knew I wanted to be a writer. It started probably middle school, high school was when I really decided on that direction. But then I'm like, well, can I make money doing that? And so I got myself convinced to go into teaching, which, is cool too. And I loved the kids. I hated all the stuff that went into teaching. But I've for my novels, I started my first one when I was 15. And then I didn't publish it till I was 31, because it needed to grow up with me. So it was kind of one of those things. But then I've published since, and then yeah, it's a lifelong journey, and every aspect of my life has been writing or editing in some sense. So it's really the only thing I know how to do.
Interesting. What, obviously specifically on fiction, what book would you say is one of your favorites to work on, or have you created any books in the midst of this pandemic season, considering everything is so conducive to the household?
Yeah, no, I actually finished my 3rd novel during the pandemic. I started really hardcore with it in January of last year, and then I published it in June. I'd been thinking about it for 6 or 7 years, but life gets in the way, jobs get in the way, and then suddenly I was, without a job, COVID, and at home, and I'm like, what do I do? And so I finally allowed myself the time to focus on it. And it doesn't really relate to the pandemic at all, but it does relate to my own personal journey that I've gone through. A lot of trauma, a lot of getting past the past and going toward a brighter future kind of themes. And then on all my children's books I did during this pandemic too. So those have just been a little beacon of hope for kids. And so yeah, for me, the pandemic was like reassessing, reflecting, and trying to see the light and the hope beyond it, because we will get through it. It's just a matter of how and when. So
Absolutely. And I love that you're a writer, because I really can't relate to that. I feel like obviously being diabetic was something I didn't foresee coming, but it did give an opportunity for a lot of reflection and reassessing one's priorities. And I think because of the fact that we had such availability, on a personal writing level, because again, I'm a poet, I think I've literally produced like the most remarkable poems because of how available I was. Just to give you I guess I'm sort of bragging a little bit. I written at least 57 poems. So
good. That's enough for a book. Works.
it is for a book. So I completely understand that, though this season has been devastating. My heart goes out to everyone who's been affected by this. But there has been a small silver lining to these circumstances as well. And
yeah, and that's what we really have to focus on going through this, is that how can you refocus and reflect and make the most out of what you're experiencing? Because for me, even though I write mostly fiction, that fiction comes from a place of authenticity and reality and depth, and it's stuff that people are going through. And if you can funnel that creatively, that's really cool. That's really neat. Like this the blue book here, it's actually a poetry book. It's not my poetry.
okay.
But a friend of mine passed from suicide 2.5 years ago now. And she was a prolific poet, but she never published. And so I took it upon myself, a little bit after her death. I asked her husband, I'm like, I know Lisa was a poet. Do you have her stuff? And can I get her stuff? And can I try to make something of it? And so I think I have one. So you can see the scope of it. This is the scope of her writing. I mean, it's 500 pages of mostly poetry. So it's insane. But yeah, that was another passion project. After I published my third book, that was my passion project to get that published. And that one helped me launch the publishing company that I'm with. So yeah, we publish poetry. Just saying, let's talk after. But I would love to help you out with that if that's something that's in your heart. But yeah, no, I got to share Lisa, her name is Lisa Gullo, and I got to share her work through that. And all proceeds from that book go directly back to her family, which is cool. I don't make any money off of that. But yeah, but that was her authentic experience. She wasn't even writing for anyone. She wasn't writing for a fact. She was writing to figure out herself. And that was really hard to work on because there's a lot of abuse and depression and pain, trauma. She had seizures, like hemiplegic migraines, which basically make you a seize and you lose half the function of your body. So yeah, what she went through and how she struggled with it is what's in that anthology. But yeah, that was a fun project to work on. Not fun, but you know what I mean? Interesting, very fulfilling project to work
on. Even though this has been it's been a difficult season. Let me rephrase the question. It's been a difficult season, though great as far as your book goes, which I again truly admire the fact that you're a writer. But how have you mentally been doing considering the season we're in?
That depends on the moment. I like to try to keep myself productive, which is why I've published 5 books in the last year, just because children's books are tiny, so it's less. But yeah, no, I like to keep myself productive and moving forward, controlling what I can in the season of no control. I mean, we've been very fortunate to not in our immediate family, none of us got sick with the pandemic, but we've known lots of people who have. But homeschooling kindergartners was no fun this year. That was not fun at all, because we were doing online school and I had to be there with them every step of the way. And so much togetherness, when at this age we should have separation. They should be in school, I should have a break, we should be able to go and do and enjoy, and we haven't been able to. So it's been very stressful on a personal level. And I don't know if I deal with it the best, but how I deal with it is try to be productive and turn those roiling emotions into something creative. So
I love this conversation so much, and I completely can relate to it.
that's awesome.
because words have such immense power, and that's why I'm such a lover of words.
It's good.
I have like probably a million books on my bookshelf and on my phone that have yet to be read because
I
I
have so many.
I do have an icebreaker question for you. But because you're a writer, I feel like I should shake it up a bit on perhaps ask two icebreaker questions. I know what the first one would be. If there was an adaptation of one of your books into a movie, who would you want to be the director?
The director. Oh my. I was thinking you were going to ask for the actresses. The director. I am in love with, and I always have been in love with, Joss Whedon. I don't know if you're familiar with
A
him.
little.
He did the Avengers, but that's not what I know him from. He was the director, writer, producer, creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel,
Oh,
Dollhouse, Serenity, Firefly, and he has a new one. It's on HBO, so I can't watch it yet. But I love his style. I love how he treats characters. I love how he treats female characters. And that's like the point of my books is like this. There's strong females who are going through very difficult periods in their life, but they're able to make something out of it and come forward. So really, I've never really thought about it, but yeah, I really think Joss Whedon, it would have to be, because I just love what he does, and he picks the best actors.
okay, Josh Whedon. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next one is my favorite because it's a signature staple I ask in all my episodes. If you could have any superpower that's not flying or teleporting, I'm gonna make it a little more difficult because we both love of the words.
Yeah.
That's not flying, teleporting, or riding. Or writing, what would that power be?
Oh my. No, so not teleporting, because that's always my go-to, because I want to travel all over. I That's so hard. So not flying. You picked all the ones that I would pick.
And I made it extra difficult because I know you're a real lover of words. So I
Yeah,
have to
I
take
would
the
have gotten
power you already possess away in this case. Normally I don't take that away, but I wanted to shake it up a bit.
I would really like the power to not really hear people's thoughts, but kind of maybe like an empathetic power. Like I can truly understand where people are at and what they're feeling. But I would have to have the ability to control it and not get overwhelmed by it, because that can get overwhelming. But like selective empathy, like super empathy. So like if somebody's hurting, I would really know the right thing to say. Or if somebody's, really elated about something, then I could, really be in with them on that and figure out that. So probably that super empathy. So.
I can get with that. I consider myself to have that empathetic power as well. So I can get with that power. That's the joys about this question. Many people answer it differently. So that's what makes it so fun. The power I would have, it's not exactly a power yet, but I feel like it would be one in the future, would be the power for this podcast to be heard across other galaxies that have yet to be discovered. They're not even discovered yet or on NASA's radar yet.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So they're listening to this right now from like Mars or a galaxy, again, not yet discovered.
That's the power of impact. That's kind of what we all hope, especially as writers.
Yes.
You hope that somebody will resonate with what you put out. And that is the biggest not benefit, but just like joy, I guess, of being a writer. You just want people to completely resonate with what you do. and somehow connect to them emotionally. I mean, I've had people just like sob outright with my novels and my children's books too. So, because I have this one that literally is launching in two days or 3 days. It's launching on June 1st. Cheers for the Butterfly. And this is about empathy and compassion and love and how that ripples out into the world. So it's got that effect. But yeah, so that's my new one.
I love that it's a butterfly. I literally have a butterfly tattoo.
Oh, I love
it. Understand. Oh,
yeah.
we're becoming good friends already.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just a tale of a butterfly impacting other animals, and but it's I've had people cry. There's been like 5 or 6 people who've read it now, and they're just like crying by the end of it. I'm like, oh, yay!
I love it. I'm surprised I'm not crying right now because I love butterflies so much. It's even my Instagram handle, for crying out loud, because they have. I'm a creative, spiritual person. You understand this quite a bit already now.
Yeah, butterflies are such a symbol of creativity, just because they are so fleeting, but they're beautiful. They're delicate, but they're powerful. It's just it's just a fun creature. So.
Absolutely. And they're so like transformative from being like social and shy, tiny, to now evolving to something beautiful and creative and social. And it's like my spirit insect. I know it's an insect or animal, but it's like literally my spirit insect, because it's like totally represents my whole journey and everything.
Yeah, and if you can be that transformative being through your life, then I think you've made it. I mean, I know I've done that. I've lived like 7 different lives. I'm almost like a cat, because I've been so many different people across so many different spectrums, and who I was in my 20s is totally unrecognizable to who I am now. And so, yeah, I love that transformative, so silly bird. But yeah, I love that transformative nature of the butterfly and just, lives in general. So it's fun.
Awesome. We could keep talking about writing all night long. We probably could, because I love writing so much, and so do you. But we're at the end of this awesome conversation. Do you have any social plugins where people can find your book? Is your book gonna be a movie soon? Give us the one-on-one.
Gosh, I
How
hope
my
that.
audience can get in touch with you.
Yeah, no, I have hopes that at least my women's fiction is called the Hearts Drawn Wild trilogy, and it's In Death We Part, Running in the Mists, and Awake in Elysian Fields. I hope that someday those could be either like a Netflix series or a movie. I already have actresses picked out, one of those things. And but yeah, and actually my new butterfly book, one of my former theater students, I used to direct theater at a middle school. She is so into the creative arts right now, and she got the book and she was just in tears, and she was like, can I do a dramatic representation of this? So the butterfly will be a stage performance fairly soon. I predict that. So yeah, no, I would love that to get out there. That would be so cool. But that's time. We'll have to just time and ways to get through. But all of my books and more about me can all be found on my website. And the website is victoriajhyla.com, and Hyla is HYLA. So that's my website. Everything's on there, all my books, all my socials, every way to get in contact with me, autograph copies, like everything. So yeah, that's probably the best way to go. And then I have a foo dog too. This is Foo, and he has a blog, and I do that too. And this is Bartleby. He's the main character from my book, Bartleby the Brave. And that's a story about kindness and bravery. So I have lots of stuff in the background.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Victoria, for this awesome conversation. Words have immense powers, and I truly believe this conversation is gonna resonate with so many.
Awesome. I hope so. And that's the power of words, and that's what we're here to do. So
absolutely. To all my listeners, stay healthy, stay safe, write your heart out. Please don't keep your voices silent. Write and write. It has immense depths to comfort, just like this podcast. So stay healthy, stay safe, and until next time. Bye.